Hi Cake Boutique, Priska here. I'm back with part 2 of our cake costing video. So if you haven't seen part 1 yet, you can go check it out and then dive into part 2. So today, we're just going to calculate the cost of this cake that we made earlier on. And I have this template that I created using Excel, but you can just use Google Sheet or just calculate manually with a pen, paper and a calculator. It's equally effective. So before we go any further, I would just like us to simplify cake pricing. And the first thing that you need to consider is the cost of ingredients, overhead, labor, and your desired profit margin. And if you're wondering what overhead is, it's just a non-material cost to make the cake. The other important thing is that prices do differ from one baker to another, depending on many factors such as ingredients used, skill, experience, customization and design, overhead, packaging, and also just the size of cake one is making. So this pricing is for my 7 inches, 3 layers Oreo cake, and I filled the cake with Oreo buttercream. And the first thing that I do is I just write down all the ingredients that I'll be using for a particular recipe, and I write down what I might use of that ingredient. And I also determine the price per unit, usually by the price at the store. I also make another category for the things that are indirect and are fixed, like cake boards, cake boxes, electricity units, water, and so forth. And also for labor, I just multiply the amount of hours it takes for me to make a dessert by hourly rates and add the profit margin, sum that total together, and that's our selling price. So let's just break that down. So here we are just going to start with the cost of ingredients, and here I have a list of ingredients I used for this recipe. So there's flour, sugar, butter, milk, eggs, baking powder, salt, Oreo cookies, vanilla essence, cookies and cream essence, white chocolate, and vinegar. Then for buttercream, there is butter, icing sugar, vanilla essence, cookies and cream, and fresh cream. I measure ingredients in grams, but you can calculate in cups, milliliters, spoons, etc. I just prefer grams as it gives me more accuracy in recipes. And some items like flour and sugar, I buy in kgs. So to convert the weight to a smaller units of grams, you just multiply the mass by 1000. So for example, 1 kg of sugar is equal to 1000 grams. I also buy other items like oil in meals, and to convert that to grams, you just need to know the density of substance. It's also useful to know that milliliters and grams are visually and almost the same in most brands. And in this next column, I have quantity in grams. So this is the item weight for ingredients at the store. So it's just the item weight for each ingredient found at the store, and this is exactly how it was purchased. And in this other column, I have the cost price. So this is just the amount I paid for all these ingredients individually at the store. And in this other column, cost per unit, we just need to price the unit gram, and the formula is total price divided by weight in grams, and that is what will give us the price per gram. And in this column, I have everything that we need to make this cake. So I've just listed down all the ingredients. So this is just the recipe it needs to make this cake. So for flour, we need about 800 grams. Then sugar, we need about 380. And for butter, we need about 400, and so on. So this is just everything that we are going to require to make this cake. So in this last column, we have cost of recipe. So we're just going to calculate individual cost for each ingredient used for this recipe. So the computation for this is a recipe in need by cost per unit. Okay, so now we are just going to calculate the cost per unit. So this is just the price per gram. So the formula is total price divided by weight in grams. So it will just be 90 kwacha for flour divided by 2,500, and it will give us a 0.04. So this is just the price per gram of flour. And for sugar, it will be 30 kwacha divided by the weight, 500 grams, and it will give us 0.06. So this is just the formula that we are going to use for our ingredients to calculate the price per gram. So this is a very crucial step in pricing process, and it also just helps ensure that you are charging a fair and a competitive price. So now that we have the price per gram and the ingredients are needed for the cake, we are just going to calculate the total cost of recipe just by multiplying the cost per unit by the quantity needed. And for flour, it will be 800 grams of flour multiplied by 0.04. It will give us 28.80 kwacha. And for sugar, it will be 380 grams multiplied by 0.06, and it will give us 22.80 kwacha. So basically, this is the formula, and we're just going to sum up the total cost of the recipe to determine how much ingredients were used for this cake. So the total cost of ingredients for this cake is 546.92 kwacha. And also keep in mind that this is just the starting point. We also need to add in labor, overhead, and profit margin to arrive at the final selling price. So here we have our total cost of ingredients, which is 546.92 kwacha. In addition to the cake itself, we also have these indirect costs, such as baking paper, so it's 8 kwacha. Then a cake board, it's 10 kwacha. Then a cake box, 45 kwacha. Then a topper for message printing, 15 kwacha. Font data, 5 kwacha. And flowers that I use for decorations, I bought those at 70 kwacha. And the total for that is coming to 153 kwacha. So here we also have fixed costs. So these are just the expenses that remain the same even if our production levels change. So for example, rent. Whether you're selling or not, you just have to pay rent or else. So this is just one of those costs that will remain unaffected by your sales performance. And we have electricity units, 30 kwacha, depreciation, 15 kwacha, rent, 50 kwacha, water and soap, 15 kwacha. And if you have any insurance plan, you can just include the figure there. And the total for that comes to 110 kwacha. So depreciation on cake isn't directly applicable, but it's just a decrease in value of assets like equipment, ovens, mixers over the time. So you really need to factor in that cost. So here we have the cost breakdown for the cake. So the cost for ingredient figure is 546.92 kwacha. Then for indirect cost, it's 153 kwacha. And for fixed cost is 110 kwacha. So for labor and wage, the minimum wage in Zambia as of January 2025 is 7.15 kwacha per hour. So you can just multiply that by the number of hours it takes for you to finish the cake. So this starts from shopping of ingredients to decorating. But personally, I just calculate the number of hours it takes for me to bake and decorate the cake. Then I multiply that by 40 kwacha. So this is just my hourly rate that I've set. And in this instance, it took me about 5 hours to work on this cake. So I paid myself 200 kwacha. So it's 40 kwacha by 5 hours. So I paid myself 200 kwacha. So this is the money that goes to my pocket, and you can also pay your employees if you have any, and your taxes from the same amount. And our total including labor is coming to 1009 kwacha. And for profit, it will be 20% of overhead, and that will give us about 201.98. And I'm just going to sum up the totals to have the actual cake price. So we have 1,211.98. So I just like to round it off, inclusive of withdraw charge, to 1,250 kwacha. So for profit, it's not necessarily paying yourself twice. So this is just the money you invest back in the business for the growth of the business. And that's just how most businesses operate. You really need capital expenditure to invest back in the business. So you can invest in machinery, just anything that for the growth of the business. Education, if you want to upgrade or anything like that. So generally, it's just for the expansion of the business. And also for the profit, 20% profit amount displayed here just serves as an illustrative example. It does not necessarily reflect to the charge I personally apply. So profit margin may vary significantly between 5, 10%, 50%, depending on a specific business objective and growth plans. And if you don't want to do all these calculations, but you just want to be on the safe side, you can just multiply the cost of ingredients by 2 to get a rough estimate of the selling price. This way, you have a better idea of how much you should charge for a cake. That's a wrap for this cake cost. Please share your opinions and thoughts in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Like this video, share it, comment, and follow the page for more videos. Thank you so much. Take care and bye-bye. See you next time.